Okay, so today we're going over equivalent expressions. Okay, so we have to first answer this first question. What does equivalent mean? Equivalent means equal to or same as. Okay. What are equivalent expressions? So equivalent expressions are expressions that are equal to each other. Okay. So in order to decide if two expressions are equivalent, we must simplify them both. Simplify them both. Okay. So which tools, strategies do we have in order to simplify? Those are the two we've been going over, which are the distributive property which means we multiply, and combining like terms. So combine like terms, which means we are adding. Okay. After this, we have example number 1, which says select all expressions that are equivalent. So keyword all, as in there might be more than one. Okay. Equivalent expressions, expressions that are equivalent to negative 6y plus 12. So let's look at our progress here. Okay. It says number 1, check the original expression. Can it be simplified? Looking at this, I can't distribute anything and I can't combine any like terms, so I'm gonna say no. From there on, we have to simplify the expressions given as options. That is saying A, B, and C. Okay? So starting off with A, this is where our evidence is going to go. I have negative 2 times 3y plus 6, and I am going to distribute that. So distributing that 2, negative 2 times 3y. Okay, I know that 2 times 3 is 6. I can't forget my y, and I have to check my signs. I have a negative and a positive, which tells me my answer is going to be a negative. Okay, and then I'm going to distribute again that negative 2 to 6. So negative 2 times 6, and that is equal to, 2 times 6 is equal to 12. Then I check my signs, and I got a negative and a positive, which makes that a negative. Let me put that back together as an expression. I have negative 6y plus negative 12, or negative 6y minus 12. Looking back at my original expression, which let me write it real big, they are not equal to each other because this one has a plus and this one has a minus. Okay? Or this one has a positive 12 and this one has a negative 12. Okay? So let me rewrite those. Okay, so this is not an answer. Let's go with B. That is 3 times negative 2y plus 4. And again, I'm going to distribute that 3. So 3 times negative 2y. Okay, 3 times 2 is 6. Can't forget my y. Then my last thing is check my signs. I have a positive and a negative, which makes this a negative. Okay. Then I'm going to distribute that 3 to my 4. So 3 times 4, 3 times 4 is 12. This is a positive, that is a positive, which makes this a positive. So in the end, I have negative 6y plus 12. Okay, checking at my original, they are the same. They are equal to each other. So that is one of my options. Now let's check C. Okay, I have a negative times negative 12 plus 6y. Okay, for here I have a negative to distribute, but I need to remember that I have a 1 there. That is really a 1. So now I distribute that. I have negative 1 times negative 12. That is equal to 12. 1 times 12 is 12. I have a negative times a negative, which makes that a positive 12. Okay. And then I have negative 1 times 6y. Okay. 1 times 6 is 6. I can't forget my y. And then I have a negative and a positive, which makes that a negative. So here, if I put it in this order, I have 12 minus 6y. Or better yet, I have 12 plus negative 6y. Okay? That doesn't exactly look like my answer, but it does have a positive 12 and a negative 6. This is also equal to negative 6y plus 12. They mean the same thing. So looking at it like this, they are equal to each other, which means my C is also an equivalent expression. Okay. So now looking back at what my question is asking me, it says select all expressions that are equivalent. So using that, I'm going to write my claim. The equivalent, equivalent expressions are B and C. Okay. The one just says check to see which expression is equivalent to the original expression, and that is what we did along the way. Okay. So let's do that again for example number 2. So select all expressions that are equivalent to negative 2 times 4.6y plus 5 plus 7. Okay, so again, check the original expression. Can it be simplified? I already see that I can distribute something, so I am going to say yes, I can simplify. So let's start off by doing that. So I'm going to rewrite my expression down here. Negative 2 times 4.6y plus 5 plus 7. Okay. And then I'm going to do what we've been doing. Separate that into 2. First things first. Distribute my negative 2 to my 4.6y. So negative 2 times 4.6y. Okay. Okay. I have a decimal and a whole number. I have to put this in order to multiply it. My decimal has more digits, therefore it will go first. So it would be 4.6 times 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Bring up the 1. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. Last thing I have to do here is check how many decimal places I have. In this case, I only have 1 between the 2. That means my decimal is only going to be moved 1 time. So 9.2. Okay. I can't forget my y. And then I have to check my signs. I have a negative and a positive, which makes my answer a negative. Okay. Then I am going to distribute my negative 2 to my 5. So negative 2 times 5. 2 times 5 is 10. A negative times a positive is a negative, which makes that a negative 10. Okay, so bringing this down, I have negative 9.2y minus or plus negative 10. And then I bring down that plus 7. Okay, Now here, I see that I can combine my like terms. So let me rewrite this back up here. So negative 9.2y plus negative 10 plus 7. Okay, I can combine those two. So I'm going to bring down this negative 9.2y. Bring down that plus. Okay, now I have to see negative 10 plus 7. I have a negative and a positive, which tells me I am going to subtract them. So 10 minus 7. 10 minus 7 is 3. So it's going to be a 3 there. And then I have to check what I have more of, my negatives or my positive. My 10 is a bigger number, which means my answer is going to be a negative. Okay, so now I have this as my expression. From here, I have to simplify the expressions given as options. Looking at my options, they are already simplified, so I don't have to simplify anything. Now I just have to check to see which expression or expressions are equivalent to the original expression. So looking at this, none of them look like my answer. Okay, the only one that is in this order where the y is first is B, and that is negative 9.2y plus 3. But I have a negative 3, which tells me that this answer is wrong. Okay, now let's look at these other ones. I can move them around to make it look like the one I have. So I can put the 9.2y first, and this is a positive because it doesn't have a sign, so it's going to be a 9.2y. And then I can put my negative 3 at the end, so plus negative 3. This is also not an answer because in my original one, I have a negative 9.2y. So that is not an answer. Last one to check is negative 3 minus 9.2y. Moving this over, I got negative 9.2y plus negative 3. This is a negative and this is a negative. Okay, this does look like my original, so that is my option. This tells me that my claim is going to say my equivalent expression is C. And that is it.